Hello, everyone. Welcome to part two of our series, The Road to Candidates 2022. And in this one, we will feature Levon Aronian's game against Alexis Shirov. This is an endgame masterpiece by the Armenian great Levon Aronian. All right, in the first leg, Aronian lost to Nakamura in the finals of the Berlin Grand Prix. So he's here for revenge, especially that Nakamura is also in his group, right? The group of death. So who will come out on top in Group A? We will see come March 21. But before that, let's take a look at Aronian's endgame masterpiece. All right, Shirov played e4. Aronian went for e5. Knight into f3. Knight c6. Bishop b5. We have the Roy Lopez. All right. He is the grandfather of Henry Lopez. Just kidding. Okay, a6, bishop a4, knight into f6, castles, bishop into e7, e1, b5. Black has to be careful because if with the rook on e1 protecting e4, if you castle, for example, here, white can now take the knight on c6, and now he can take on e5 because the pawn on e4 is already protected. Yeah, compared to earlier when it was still on f1. If you capture on c6 here, taking c6. If you capture on e5, there's knight takes e4. You go rook e1. Okay, there's queen d4 hitting the pawn. On f2, hitting the knight. If you go knight to d3, for example, there's bishop f5. Black can also try to castle queen side here. Okay, so rook to e1, b5, bishop e3 castles, c3, while Shirov is inviting Aronian to go for his pet line. Okay, in the first video, we talked about Nakamura's main weapon against d4, which is King's Indian. Here against e4 also, one of Aronian's main weapon is the martial attack, the martial gambit. Right, this one, sacrificing the central pawn on e5 for development. Okay, knight takes d5, takes on e5, takes on e5, rook takes e5, and then c6. White is a pawn up, but the problem for white is the underdeveloped bishop, knight, and rook. Black is just ahead in development at the expense of the pawn. d4, bishop d6. Bishop is going to hit h2. Rook to e1, queen h4, threatening queen h2 with the bishop on d6. Force g3. You cannot go h3 here, all right? Because black will just take that pawn. If you take on h3, queen takes h3. All right, for example, I'd go knight into this very basic checkmate, right? Bishop, queen, and then f2. Right? That's a basic checkmate with the queen and the bishop. Okay, so h3 is not possible. Okay, so g3, queen h3, rook into e4. Again, one of the most dangerous variations in the Roy Lopez is the martial. White has to be extra careful even if it's a pawn up, because one miss, you die. And let's say, for example, normal development, okay, I just move my knight to d2, and then here black has bishop g4. And you would say, okay, I can just develop my queen to c2, right? But now rook a e8. White is going to be dead in the back rank right here with rook a e8. So he has to go to f1. And now knight f4, threatening mate on g2. You take the knight, bishop takes f4, threatening mate on h2. 1g. Game over. Game over. Black is dead. Black is winning. White is dead. Okay, and here if you go for bishop e3, black can go bishop g4, f5, and then also f4. All right, so in this game, rook e4 was played, threatening rook h4 to drive away that queen on h3. A nice move here by Aronian, g5. The main point of g5 is that the bishop couldn't take that pawn. It's not a free pawn because queen f5 is a double attack on the rook and the bishop on g5. So you cannot take that pawn on g5. That pawn on g5 also stops the rook from going to h4. Okay, so queen f1. Queen back to h5. 92, bishop f5, hitting the rook. Here, white played f3. The rook cannot go anywhere. If you go back to e1, there's rook 8, e8. If, let's say, you go bishop d1 to attack the queen, there's g4. If you want to find a way for your rook, you push that pawn on a4. There's knight f4 once again. You cannot take that knight, yes, because there's take on h4 and then take on h2. And if you take on b5, bishop d3. Again, waiting for black. Look at white's pieces on the first rank, most of them, if not all of them, yeah. Okay, so white played f3, knight back to f6, a4, Shirov wants to give that rook away. Now, if the rook moves back, it's the same thing, rook a e8. Ahead in development. You cannot push g4 here, huh? Because queen h2 is made. Right, a4, opening the line for the a rook. Takes, exchange. g4, queen g6. Takes, takes. Takes. Okay, white gets 2 pawns. Okay, for the exchange. So 2 pawns and a minor piece. Basically, in terms of value, is just the same, yeah. The bishop is worth 3, with the 2 pawns is 5, rook is worth 5. 5 for 5, materially equal. Queen goes back to g6, c1, bishop e3. Takes, 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 takes. All right, process of elimination. King f2. All right. Taking away the power of the 2 bishops, taking one bishop down. Takes on c4. Control of the open E file. Queen to d3. Queen now goes to e2. Queen b1. All right, simplify, yeah, because the queen, of course, is the most powerful piece. Take away the queen, no danger. Rook takes e1. Rook superior than the bishop. Bishop goes to d6. We'll check first. Rook to b1. Bishop a3. King g7. King g6. Right. Activating the king in the endgame. h3, h5. Right. King h4. Rook g1. Limited movement for the king. The king is stuck on the h file. According to Lionel Richie, stuck on you. Stuck on h file. Bishop goes to c5, rook g2. Sense of danger because with that bishop on c5, white is threatening d5, hitting the rook on g1, rook g2, attacking b2. Bishop has to go back. And now f6. Nice move. The bishop couldn't move. It's tied up to the pawn. Only move takes. Aronian's brilliance here. It's king f5. No worries. Sure went for f4. Through g8. The move. Bishop goes to d6. Attack the bishop. h6. Takes. Shiro goes back. Okay, my king will be active with king h5, pawn, king g6, and king g7. And he's actually 2 pawns up, right? Or in this case, it's 3 at the moment. King h5 is actually wrong. Well, what can you do? What else can you do? f5. Endgame brilliance. The imaginative Levon Aronian. h7, rook h8. King g6, king e7. Oh, king g7, what a move. King e8. Is it a free rook? What an endgame. This is why we love chess. Games like this. This is what we are trying to imitate. This is what we're trying to see. I mean, see games like this is just, it makes us happy. Okay, well, why is this rook not free? You take the rook, king f8. So king gonna move, right? You have h4, king f7. You have h5, king f8. You have h6, go back to f7. And now white has to give up his pawns. Let's say d5, that takes. b3 takes. You go c4, all right, b2. You take the pawn, promote to the queen. You push, queen b8 is checkmate. What a game. Okay, let's go back. So king g6, king f8, no more king g7. So h4, just go back to e7. Same process. King g7, king e8. Oh. King g6, king f8 once again. So you have to push h5. King e7. Wow. Dancing. Right, Aronian is so good with this waltz, yeah. Dancing the king dance. King g7, king e8. King g6, king f8. The triangulation of the king. Final destination, h6, king e8. After king f6, rook takes. King g6 is rook f7. You push, for example, go back. You put the king, go back. Amazing. Wow. Yeah. And it's the same process. You take the rook, king f7 or king f8. Yes. b3 take, d5 takes, c4 push, takes, promotes. Right. Imagine that rook on h8. Pawn up for white, but white just cannot do anything. All right, that's Aronian for you. So in the first leg, Aronian got 10 points after losing to Nakamura in the finals. So we'll try his luck here. But unfortunately, he is in the same group with Nakamura and Andrew Kim. So it's anybody's game in Group A of the Berlin Grand Prix third leg. Yeah, we are back to Berlin next week. All right, so I hope you like our presentation for today. This is Coach Oliver. Stay safe, everyone.